you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. Because I am never disappointed out here, because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
Hell yeah! Angler's choice, baby! Johnny Moore's, White River, Ranger, Triton, Nitro! Let's go, baby! Woo!
What the hell is even that?
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Monday Night Live. It is November. I was going to say January. Jesus wept. November 18th. My God, this month is flying by. Weather has been bipolar as crap. I remember last year when I fished the Veterans Day tournament on Lake Anna, it was a little bit crisper, a little bit colder out. And it fluctuates right now between like wearing shorts to being extremely cold. It doesn't want to make up its mind on what it wants to be right now as we get into Turkey Day here. First thing I want to say, guys, thank you so much for that episode I did where I went through the Alabama regulations that they're potentially going to be putting on the books in 2025. I went through that thing line by line and people absolutely loved it. I think it's really good not to just have drama online, but actually understand the information there. But we don't care about that. The call-in number tonight is 667-307-8583. We have on an individual. He actually went into this tournament and he faced some actually heavy hitters. In third place was Jason Ford and Justin Rush with 12.67. In second place was this guy called McCluskey, I think is his name, and then Jason Tibbetts with 12 pounds 6 ounces. And then Timmy came in there and he absolutely smoked it, 13.89. Congratulations, boss. The man, the myth, the legend. Here he is. Dude, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Great finish, dude. Absolutely stacked field of heavy hitters. I mean, really getting into it, going into this event, what was your mindset like? Was this the first time that you ever fished this event? Do you have history with it?
I fished the one last year. I think they had 146 boats. I fished that one. I believe you fished it, and I completely bombed it. So I was just hoping I could have a better finish than last year, honestly.
What happened?
I didn't even weigh in.
Oof. That, like, did you just like misread the situation or like?
I don't know if it was that or just the conditions, because the next day they had the Sunday series and I went out, fished the same areas, same baits, and I had 15 something, almost 6. I think it might have just been the day. Yeah,
and that last year there were some heavy weights pulled in last year, and
they do want it.
Yeah, like it took weight. Like when we fished it, I think we had like 12 or 13 pounds. Maybe it was a little bit less than that. And I thought we would do a little bit more reasonable than we did. And then you looked at like there was a glide bait bite, there was a big fish bite on the lake. You fast forward to now. And we'll get into the tournament in a minute, but leading up to it, did you think it was going to take 22 pounds to win it?
I told my grandpa, who I fished with, I said it's probably going to take 15. Between 14 and 15 is what I thought it was going to take.
Oh, I didn't know you fished with your grandpa.
Yeah, I fished with him.
That's awesome.
Because you had to fish with him this year. He was in the Coast Guard for 26 years.
Do you fish with him a lot?
This was actually my first time I fished with him in a tournament. We go fishing pretty regularly, but the first time he'd ever fished a tournament.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. And he actually caught probably 25 fish.
Good Lord. So the weights were stringy as we get into, but you were still catching fish.
Yeah, I think we caught almost 50 that day.
That's insane. Wow.
Half the people we talked to didn't catch 1 or 5 is all they caught.
Mm. So leading into it, like you said, you thought it would take about 15 pounds. Did you feel like you had a good game plan going into the event, or what was your mindset?
I had 4 schools that I knew had better fish in them. Getting the bigger ones to bite was a little bit harder. And then the fact that there's 100 people, I didn't know if somebody was going to be sitting on one of them. I mean, I've had them to myself for the past month, and they haven't moved. So I was kind of just like, well, if I get one and somebody's sitting on the other ones, I'll just beat one to death. But I got all 4.
That's insane that you were able to get your rotation down that perfect.
Yeah, there was people in the same area beating the bank, but they weren't fishing. They were fishing the right side, and I was on the left side.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that, kind of how your day went. But then again, guys, so as always for these events, we're bringing this back. The best questions that I select will win a gift card to Tiger Crankbait tonight. So make sure you ask your questions, or if you want to call in, person that calls in with a really good question also wins a gift card to Tiger Crankbaits as well. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, so you get into the event, you get out there on the water. When does things start happening for you?
So the first spot we pulled up to, the stripers are really bad in the morning time now. So sometimes when the stripers pull up, and I mean, they pull up thick, like hundreds of them, the baby ones. And so the first spot we pulled up to, I didn't know if they were going to be there or not. And if they were there, they weren't going to bite. It turns out they were there. I think we caught, my grandpa caught like 6 stripers back to back. And then I caught one that was probably 1.5 pounds, and I hooked him in the gills. He swallowed it, and he was bleeding bad, so I just threw him back. And we stayed there for probably 20 minutes because he was having fun, so I let him catch a few there. And then the second school we went to was a spot where I've been getting some better bites, and we pulled up, and I was throwing a little top water, and I caught 2 that were 2 of our better ones. And then I think he actually I had 2 fish. He had 3 fish in the limit at that time. And then after that, I just went to work.
Do the stripers usually school that bad in the morning? Is that usually their MO?
Right now, they've been schooling in the morning about 10 o'clock. They're gone. But in the morning time, especially where I'm fishing right now, the one spot they are loaded.
Now, is that a bait pattern, a area pattern? What would you describe that as?
I think it's more of an area because I'm not seeing bait balls. They're more just there. I mean, I know the bait is there, but there's not like giant bait balls on your screen.
Interesting. What
do you
think this?
Towards the dam. I'm towards the islands, Thurman's Islands.
Why do you think the striper are there in the morning?
Bait's up shallow. Bait was up shallow there because it's a shallow flat with a point that just drops.
So you have your first spot and then you leave. What time do you think you leave about?
I think we were the second flight, so we blasted off at 7:10. I think I got there at 7:15. We were probably there till 7:30, 7:35. And then we ran over to the net. We hit one spot in between that. It's the biggest community hole, if anybody knows, near Dukes Creek, the rock pile. It's there. Everybody knows. We didn't get anything. And I probably saw 15 people hit that in one day. I was kind of mind blown by it.
Did you catch anything off it?
No. I was there for probably 2 minutes. I dropped the trolling motor in the water, looked around, and I just was not happy, so I picked it up and left. I went to the actual school.
There's a weird, half the people I think I talked to would be like, oh, it's a local honey hole, so I'm never going to fish it. And you have other people that are like, yeah, it's the most obvious thing on the map, so there's fish there. I mean, clearly you thought there was some good thoughts in going there and putting it in your game plan.
A couple weekends ago, I caught one that was 2.9 off of it. I mean, shoot, I'll pull up there all summer, and you throw a drop shot over there, it's instant. They might be small. It might be 2.5 pounds. You could catch a random 4-pounder. I mean, I've caught a ton of fish off that spot all year.
So it's kind of like a place you just want to keep, you want to check it and keep it honest.
If I'm going that area, I just hit it. I'd check it out.
That's smart. And that's to have that flexibility is so important when you're running like lake patterns like this. So at this point, then, as you pick up the trolling motor, leave from that spot, how much weight do you have?
We might have had 1 or 2 in the live well, not much. It was
Okay.
probably 2.5, 3 pounds.
Are you stressed at this point, or do you feel like we still got time? We're still according to plan.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I was kind of hoping that spot would be better than it was because it's been producing some decent bites. But in all reality, I was kind of like, if they're there, they're there. If they're not, they're not. I just want to check it before I go to the actual good one.
So before you go to the actual good one, now you're going to it. So what happens?
As soon as we pull up there, my grandpa, I gave him probably the easiest bait to throw. I gave him a 2.8-inch Kitech on a little jig head and a drop shot. And he didn't put down the Kitech all day.
That's awesome.
And he caught catfish, stripers, bass, crappie. I mean, he caught everything. He caught a 14-inch crappie off of it, just reeling it.
Damn, dude, that's massive.
He told me if he would have caught more of them, he was going to keep some of them to eat, but he only caught.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. That good call though too. Like, so like when I've had my wife in the boat, it's really hard to figure out what bait where it's like, maybe it's not the best thing for the tournament, but they're going to have success with it. And I feel like that's really hard to do when you're dealing with a family member, so to speak.
And then he's got bad neuropathy in his hands, so his hands already aren't the best.
Ew.
So I figured that was probably the easiest bait because I would have given him a top water for the schooling fish.
Yeah.
A little hard for him.
Yeah, that's a lot of wear and tear when you're working hard top waters. So were you still working top waters at this point in the day?
Yeah, oh yeah. In the morning time is when I've been throwing it, and you gotta throw a really small one because the bait right now is tiny.
That's crazy. Why is the bait so tiny right now?
I don't know. It's just it's really small. I don't know which size it is, but it's the smallest evergreen shower blows. Like it's a small.
The BFS one, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I can't get them to eat a regular size. I threw a regular size one for so long, and they just don't eat like a small one.
It's so crazy how that is, where you will have people. I mean, this is not secret because Tyler posted at High Pole Guide Services. He posted a picture of him on a glide bait. Same like that, they'll smoke a massive glide bait, but then also you have to go down to like a crappie size like presentation as well. It's insane that they'll zero in that tight on a bait.
Oh yeah. When he sent me pictures of that, when he started texting me, I was kind of surprised, honestly, the way they've been acting. And then I think it took either right under 17 or 17 to win the last Sunday series this Sunday.
Dang, that's insane. So
the water temps also dropped to 62. When I was fishing, it was 67.
Do you think that was the issue? Like it was just too warm?
I think the weather's been definitely a key player. It has not been good. They're all confused. I think now that it's starting to get colder consistently and they can mellow out a little bit, I think they should turn back on.
What do you mean by mellow out?
They're everywhere. I mean, you'll catch them deep, shallow. I mean, 15 foot, you can catch them dirt shallow. You can catch them. I was catching my deepest fish probably was in 27 foot of water on the bottom.
Damn. That's insane. Wow. Yeah. It's like they don't know what time of year it is. And that's weird because yeah.
And the schooling fish are on more of a fall pattern. And then the fish that came out of 27 foot of water, that's like a wintertime spot.
It's almost like, and this is to where this is an age old question. People in chat, if you want to talk about this, we can, where it's like, it's daylight versus the coldness. Like as the days get shorter, like that does clue in deer and fish that like, oh shit, winter's coming. But how important that temperature is to actually really punch them and get them to move. Because if you're up in New York, I mean, you're going to have ice here soon. So they move quick. But I digress there. So getting back to the event, you get to your other spot, you put the trolling motor down, and it just starts happening.
Yeah, I think we got a limit off that spot, and then I ran a few other areas, upgraded by ounces, not maybe a pound here and there. And I was all the way next to the dam, and I knew everybody was up lake. I mean, that was a given. I think there was probably 15 people down lake with me, and I was like, up lake is gonna be a shit show. Like, there's gonna be people everywhere. Somebody's gonna be sitting on every single bank, every single rock pile, every single brush pile that's up there. There's gonna be somebody on.
Why?
And I just need to go up there to get a big bite. And when I went up the North Anna side. And when I got up there, I mean, there's boats everywhere.
Why?
Beating the bank, cranking.
Is it just that upper end of the lake is just where everyone goes?
This time of year, I feel like, yeah, most of the people go up there, especially out live scope. That's your best option to catch big, just a lot of fish.
But you're a live scope savant. You're good with the scope, but you even thought going up lake was your best chance to catch a better size fish.
Knows that if you want to get big ones most of the year until it's cold, up lake's the place to do it. And I mean, that day I had 21 pounds. Every single one of those fish, other than 2, came from up lake. The 3 big ones, they came from up there too.
I wonder why.
Dirty water.
Is it just like it gets so freaking clear you just can't catch them down lake?
Yeah. There is a down lake, no. Up lake, yes. The water clarity up there does mess with them. If they get dirty, they won't bite, and if it gets too clear, they won't bite. You got to get right in the middle.
Interesting. Yeah, that's the problem. Is like when they get moody with that clarity issue compared to because I know some guys, they will just fish not at Lake Anna, but in general, they'll always fish down lake because they're just used to it being clear, and you just deal with that. But they're just way, way better at catching them in gin clear water than I would ever be.
Yeah. You got to use light stuff. Like, I'm throwing between 4 and 6 pound test. And
dude,
I've got my scope set out at 120 feet, and you got to stay far away from them.
How the hell do you see them at 120?
I've got the 16 volt lithium by Powerhouse.
Huge shout out to the man who I actually interviewed last week, New Horizon Boat Builds. That's something I'm going to do in the off season.
That is probably, if I could give one recommendation to people who have live scope, is get that 16 volt. It makes a big difference, and you can crank your stuff up hot. I can run my gain on 77 and it'd be clear.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm throwing small stuff like 2, 3, 4 inch baits out at 120 feet, and I can see them clear as day. Throw a tungsten head, you're good.
Are you running a 10-inch screen, 9-inch, 15, 22?
The 106 SV, not the Ultra 2, just the Ultra 1.
Okay.
Which is it's a little bit, it's doable and it's fine. I mean, obviously, but I do want to upgrade to probably 8612 or an 8616 here soon.
This is the one thing where I think people don't understand size does matter, just to be able to see things a little bit easier.
Because I went from a Solix 12 with Mega Live down to the 10-inch with the Garmin. The 10-inch is very good, but missing is kind of.
Yeah, I have a 15-inch Helix that runs my Mega 360, and then I have this 10-inch for my live scope. And I'm like, Jesus, I need to upgrade because this thing is so freaking small. And again, like, I think the battery's gonna help, but just I've been in people's boats that have the bigger screen. I'm like, my God, it's so much easier.
Oh yeah, and get nicer units. The processors and the pixels and this, that, and the other is better, so they're more clear. But the regular 106 SV is perfectly fine.
Yeah. And then we got a couple of questions on Instagram. So if you guys are on Instagram, no one can see Instagram because StreamYards is bullshit. Only I can see it and I can't share it. If you would like to harass Timmy in the chat, go over to Facebook or YouTube. He can see all of that stuff easily. Or you can call in. We also have a call-in number tonight. So continuing with the day, you really get your limit. what do you feel like? Okay, I got 13 pounds right away. This is great. Oh
I
my God, I'm
had
doing a thing.
I had probably we didn't have 13 before we went up lake. I don't exactly remember what I had, but I went up lake and the one bank that nobody was on, I knew a few isolated rocks that were off the bank, just a hair. And they're in shallow water, like probably 6, 7 feet. And there were some laydowns in it too. And I fished down the bank a little bit, started cranking, drag a drop shot, drag a jig, nothing. And I finally got up to the rocks and I started pitching around to them. Nothing. There's crappie all over them. And I got to the last rock and I flipped the jig in there and I seen something the size of a penny come out of it. I know what it was, but as soon as I lifted up, he was just swimming away with it. And I think it was either a 452 or a 442.
That's insane.
And then after gave us, I think we had 13 with that fish. So we had double digits before that.
What did you think then when you had 13 pounds?
I told him, I said, if we can get one more bite like this, I said, we got it 100%. I didn't know we would have won it with that. But at the time, I was like, if I can get one more, it's 4.5. It's done.
At that point, where then you just specifically just trying to hunt for that bigger bite?
Yeah. I stayed up there for a while. I probably stayed up there for 2.5 more hours throwing a jig. I locked a jig in my hand for forever. And I just never got another bite up there.
It's just crazy. Like, did you know that it was going to be like this? Like during the day,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
The weights it's been taken to win. I mean, shoot, not last weekend, the weekend before last, Sunday series. Actually, no, it was the day before the Veterans Day tournament. We had 1198 and I think 1298 won. And we should have. My partner, he broke off a giant. We seen him too. That's what hurts the worst. We seen it. It was probably 5 or 6. We had it in the bag.
What happened?
But he didn't retie.
Jesus. And he jumped at the boat?
Brush. No, he just pulled down real hard and snapped it.
Good Lord.
We rushed with a drop shot and he didn't retie, and I guess he had a nick in his line and broke him off.
The amount of horror stories from interviews this year, people that just didn't retie, it's like you got to be autistic of every time you catch a fish, in my opinion, just cut and just retie.
I feel my line every time.
Yeah.
If I feel a little thing, I'm retie. Especially in a tournament, I'll retie.
You talk about throwing freaking like spider like thread. It's like 4-pound test. Like, what kind of knot are you using for your leader material?
I use the FG knot. I only use that. I feel like the Albright knot is the one I used to tie, and I just break that one too much.
Yeah, the Albright like gives me a lot of fits.
The FG slides right through the guides.
Yeah. How long of a leader do you like to use?
I reel into the reel a little bit, not too crazy far. Probably 3 or 4 turns into the reel. Just because of how clear the water is, so they don't see that neon green braid that I'm throwing.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, a friend of mine, something that I've been doing is for my drop shot and things like that is whatever depth you're going to be throwing the drop shot in, try to get it to where you can get the knot in your reel if you're going to break off, is what he said. Because at that point, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a lot of line back. And at least for me, that's been working.
And then the fluorocarbon that I use, Seagar Tatsu. That's all the line I use on every reel.
What size?
It depends. For the Demiki rig, I throw anywhere from 4 to 8. Drop shot, I usually throw 10, depending on if I'm dragging it in some thick stuff or not. Same with the shaky head.
Now, why do you go with the high vis? And then again, guys, I got a couple of gift cards here. If you would like to get a gift card, just give me a message here that I can give to him, or call me 667-307-8583. First phone number to first phone call to come through automatically wins a gift card, and the line is now hot. So anyway, continue with what you're saying.
So yeah, I mean it varies honestly. Sometimes I've thrown 6 on a drop shot, but I usually stick with 10. 10's usually my go-to for a drop shot. And if anybody that knows me knows how I set the hook with a spinning rod, I gotten to the point where I know how strong line is throwing 6-pound test. I look like I'm setting the hook with a jig on 10-pound test with a spinning rod. I don't slack line them, but you just lean into them, and I just drive the hook.
Do you have like no fear of breaking?
Not with Seaguar.
Jeez.
Now, when I sunline, I have horrible luck with sunline. I've broken sunline so many times, knots have failed. I do not trust sunline.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, honestly, because all of my spinning reels have Seaguar smackdown braid on them, and I don't know if that line just doesn't pair up good with that braid. But I mean, I was with a buddy, and I probably broke an FG knot like 6 times, and FG knots just don't break if they're tied right. They don't break. And I go home, and I tied a bunch with Seaguar, and I pulled them. I'd snap the line every time. The knot never broke. So I think it was just the line. They don't like that braid.
How did you discover 4-pound and 6-pound tests that was a thing that would work?
By watching the elites, honestly, just studying. I like watching a lot of the JDM stuff, seeing what those guys do. They do some sneaky stuff. If you pay attention to them, they do some sneaky stuff. And how pressured the fish are on Anna. I mean, these fish are pressured bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can tell. You'll throw a bait with, let's say, 10, and you'll watch them come up to it, and they just swim away. You throw 4, they just inhale it. And then for tying the hook.
Sorry, guys, buffering problem. Yeah, it's interesting with all like the JDM stuff. How it feels like that's like whoever gets on that first. And this kind of gets, I've got a question here from Brandon. Brandon, you just want a gift card to Tiger Crankbase. What is your favorite JDM trend? It's so interesting because like I mean, the jigging minnow is actually a JDM trend. The weird bluegill that looks like a insole to a damn shoe, that's a trend. But it seems like there's a perfect sweet spot though, where it's like if you are the first like that year, you will be rewarded until it like becomes an ICAST sensation, and then it's not as important.
Yeah, until 5 other companies, if not more companies, make the same bait and name it all different things, and it just gets blown out, and it's not even a secret anymore.
Is it just because like it's just different? Like, why is it the JDM stuff is so freaking hot compared to other companies? Berkeley's not setting the world on fire compared to Japanese companies.
I think, yeah, like you said, I think it's just different. It's just stuff that they haven't seen. It's just subtle changes that they haven't seen before. Like just with the drift fry, how it's got that lip on the front of it, it makes the bait have a different action. I mean, the bellows gill, I mean, no other bait that I know looks like that. And that imitates a bluegill, I mean, almost perfectly.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with like to me, it's like the spy bait that came through there a long time ago, and the adjustments they're making to that, or the Okashira head when that came out. It's so tiny, the changes. It's not big and flashy like a glide bait or something like that, or the mag draft. It's so subtle, but it does for some reason. Like last year, when I was with SB, is like the amount of fish you could pull off the bottom with an Okashira head or a spy bait, and that was a year ago. And I bet now like they just don't care anymore.
Yeah. They had last year that a spy bait is and an Okashira head are the 2 like main things I threw this time of year, and I would never put them down. But this year, with the weather and it not being that cold, I haven't even picked them up yet.
Yeah,
They probably. I just haven't picked them up.
but the jig works, and like this is something I think we mentioned offline, which is like true blueback lakes, a Lake Hartwell, a Lake Murray, Lanier, um, Clark's Hill is another one that comes to mind, where it's like a mop jig, a big ass jig, just works. It doesn't make a freaking lick of sense in a blueback lake, but it does.
And I'm throwing the 3.8-inch bellows on it, and you're imitating a big bluegill, and you're dragging it in 27 foot of water. I mean, they just inhale it.
In 20 feet of water, is it isolated rock piles you're trying to target? Cane piles, brush, nothing? Like, what is it you're looking for on your scope?
I mean, all of the above, honestly. Any type of brush, anything I see, just fish on the bottom, suspended fish, bait. I mean, I just look for everything, honestly. No, I mean, I have all the like marked, and so if I pull up to a brush pile, I'll stop before it, make a few casts in it, and if I don't get anything, I'm going to the next one. I mean, I've got probably 600 or 700 waypoints on Anna, so I mean, I can just flip flop all day.
How long do you give a brush pile before you leave?
Sometimes if I look in there and I don't see any fish in it, I don't even cast in it.
Damn, dude. Okay.
And then I'll throw like 4 or 5 times in there, and if I don't get anything, I'm gone.
Wow.
Because usually something in there, they're going to eat it the first cast. Usually, like if you throw a drop shot in there, they got it first cast, or jig, they usually just hammer it.
Do the catfish, like on Kerr or Bugs Island, do they set up in a certain way, or do you not have the catfish issue on Lake Anna?
Oh no, it's a huge issue. If Tyler's in here right now, he's probably dying laughing. The catfish on Anna suspend like bass, and they look giant. And when you throw to them, they come up to it and hit it like a freight train, and you think you got a giant, and it's just a big catfish.
Do you see like the bass intermingling with the catfish at all, or if you hook a catfish, are you like, we're leaving?
Pretty much we're leaving, because I mean, I think last year, one tournament me and Tyler fished, I probably caught between 10 and 15 catfish, and 5 of them were out of one little area. So after that, we were just like, yeah, we got to go. These are all just catfish we're messing with.
You know what's crazy is you were like the 10th person this year, I think, that have said like, I hooked a catfish and I left, or I didn't catch any bass. It's so crazy where it feels like the catfish and bass just do not intermingle at all.
Now there's one spot I have where I did catch a catfish, and it's one of my better spots right now that they're schooling in, but that could have just been a random fish, because that's the only catfish I've caught there recently.
That's interesting. Oh, and we finally got our caller. All right, let's see if we get this caller patched in. All right, 540-327. You were in the show. What's up? Caller, are you there? Oh, I see what happened. What up? 5 seconds, because technology being the way it is, and I have to be my own Jamie. 5 seconds, and all right, you're passing to the show.
I just wanted to know if Timmy ever updated the fish brain app.
No, I don't have that app.
He said, yeah, turn down your radio a little bit, but yeah, he said he doesn't have the app.
Oh, dang, that sucks.
What's your other question? And he hung up. All right. Love the prank calling. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little technical difficulty, which is insane. I just played for the premium edition for the call-in studios. They now allow your remote listeners to hear call-in calls, and Timmy had to be the first one to break that in, which means from now on, we can do Monday Night Live with call-in guests, which is going to be pretty cool. We have another question here on the old Instagram. It's interesting that you mentioned that the catfish issue, because I can catch snakeheads on the Potomac River and go down a line of lily pads and also catch largemouth. Yeah, I think that's it. It's just something that I've realized now that it's almost like this weird. You start thinking back of like, I've never caught a catfish and then smoked a 5 or 6 pounder. Generally speaking, the fishing has sucked wherever I catch a catfish. And it's just weird because with snakehead and other species, bluegill are a great example for people listening. you start feeling bluegill in the end of your line, there's bass around somewhere, crappie, you know, but a big cat, never do I usually catch a nice largemouth around a big cat.
Another thing I noticed right before we got into the fall, a lot of the brush piles up the rivers were loaded with white perch, and all of those fish were feeding on white perch. I'd put them in the live well, and they'd spitting out 4, 5, 6-inch white perch.
That's insane.
Yeah. I haven't found a bait that perfectly mimics them yet, but I think next year, if I can find a bait that mimics a white bass, it could get dirty.
Well, isn't a white bass just like, it looks like a bluegill, right? I mean, shape-wise.
Shape-wise, well, they look like a baby striper, honestly. Pretty much what they are, like a baby hybrid. They look like that. They're just smaller, all white.
We got B-Cal in here. B-Cal in the chat has a great question. When do you think the bass will start to move into the deeper water homes? B-Cal, you just want a gift card to Tiger crankbaits.
They're already in some of them right now. I mean, like I said, I was catching fish out of a wintering hole that I usually hit only in the wintertime. And I think it ranges between 25 and 27 foot. So they're already in there now. But as it gets colder, they'll just slide out to all that stuff.
Do you have a magic temperature?
Not really, honestly. I just check spots every time I'm out there. And then once they get out there, I just start hammering them. I just start running all the wintertime stuff when I see them get in the wintertime stuff.
Is this usual? Like, has it been like this the last couple of years where this fall has been very wonky and very long?
From what I can remember, yeah. Because here, I don't think they turned on great, like a fall pattern, until like the end of November, which is what it's looking like now, too.
Yeah, it's definitely looking that way as well.
Because you can find the bait up shallow, like early fall, but they just weren't up there. They were not around it. Like you had to have a good clump of hydrilla that's offshore, and the bait had to be in it, and that was where the bass were. And I found 2 of those areas, and I probably stayed there for 2 months. And then once the bait left, they're gone.
How important has the hydrilla been to the lake?
For me this year, hydrilla won me a lot of money. Like I would pull up fish, and it would look like I was punching how much grass is on my line.
When you say offshore hydrilla, for people that are listening, are you talking about grass that's topping out at the surface? Are you talking about like it's not reaching to the top, but it's still pretty thick?
I see it all on scope. I find it where you can't see it on top and then cast to it.
That's freaking awesome, dude. That's incredible that they haven't sprayed or killed that yet.
They have in some places.
Yeah, well, screw them. I mean, fucking Karens and stuff. Like, they can just all go to hell.
Yeah, I think they sprayed pigeon already, and I know some dock owners have sprayed around their docks up the North End, I believe.
It's insane because, like, I've had Odenkirk on the show, and he even talks about like how the grass coming back in the water willow boom has like really helped that place out and made it better.
They live in it. They get grouped up in it. Thick.
The water willow, yeah.
And just willow.
Really?
Yeah.
They know. It's so weird. Like they didn't have grass in that lake for like 10 years, and all of a sudden it comes back and they know that that's where they want to be. It's crazy.
It used to be full of grass until they put the carp in there.
Yeah. Way back when.
Yeah.
How good was that shallow water bite when the hurricanes were coming through and the water level was up?
It was pretty good. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad. I was looking at them with the drop shot, picking them out of the grass.
How did you, was it just, we find spots and sometimes it's because we put in hard work, or it was like me, my motor died, so I had to trolling motor around and I randomly found a good place.
Yeah.
Was this a luck thing? Was this you were just idling for 10 days straight? A little bit of both?
No, I knew there was grass there, and I came to throw a top water over it, the stuff that you could see with your eyes. And I just started panning out a little bit deeper, and there's grass out there, and I you get your transducer to where you're looking at 10 foot and you can pick them out of the grass. If you know what to look for, you can pick them out of the grass. So yeah, I mean, every time you throw a drop shot on the fish, it's instant.
How do you like to do your drop shot setup?
So I Texas rig mine. I always throw either a robo worm or a magic worm, and I give about 1 foot to 1.5 foot a leader, and usually a 3/16 ounce weight, depending on water depth. 3/16, quarter, 3/8. It all just depends.
Yeah. Do you really like to go with a heavier weight, or do you like to go with the heaviest weight possible or the lightest weight possible?
The lightest weight I can get away with.
Why?
Especially in the grass, you get hung up bad with the heavy weight.
That's a good tip for everybody listening. We got John Hamilton. Any tip for shore fishing on the Potomac? How big of an effect does the tide have? I can answer that, or you can try to take a crack at it.
I don't go up there much. That's all you.
So yeah, the tide has a. You're effed if you're fishing from the bank on the Potomac if the tide's wrong. So just think about a wave at a beach. The wave comes in and it comes out. And so when it comes in, you have more water. When it comes out, you have nothing. So if you hit that thing on an absolute low tide, it's going to be really hard for you to be able to catch fish because they're not pushing up to where you are. They're pushing back. So you really want to check your tide charts when you're fishing. At this time of year, dude, you just want to go to DC, go to 4 Mile Run, go to Blue. Well, you can't go to Blue Pains. It has to be if you're in the chat. You can't reach Blue Pains, right? From shore. You probably get shot. Go to 4 Mile if you're listening, because I don't want to get somebody shot by accident. But you can go there. It's a warm water discharge between Thanksgiving and, I don't know, March. Like, you're going to catch a ton of fish there right now. Absolutely crazy amount. Let's see. Oh, we got another question. And then, guys, since I now have the call-in, next person to call in is going to win a $50 gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle, just to make sure that I can get this software to work. So just make sure you understand that. Let's see. Everett Guerin, what is your favorite bait to use on Lake Anna? Everett, you just want a gift card to Tiger Crankbaits. Message me and you'll get it.
I'd probably say I'll give 3 because, I mean, I use these 3. These are always on my deck. A jig, a drop shot, and a Dominique rig are on my deck year-round. Sometimes that's all.
Drop shot or shaky head, which is more effective to you?
Drop by far.
Really?
Shaky deck probably ever.
Really? That's insane that you've never... Oh. Why?
I don't know. I just don't like them. I get bit more on a drop shot than I do a shaky head.
Huh. And you got the jig too, but it's the problem is, like, it's the one thing, like, you guys know I'm probably a little autistic. It's like you can't fish everything. So it's like, okay, when is it the shaky head is the substitute for the jig? When is it you have to throw the jig? Because I really think those are the either or baits there. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. Yeah. B Cal, have you tried the dice baits? I have. I've had a little bit of luck with them. I'm trying to figure out what situation to throw them in because they are like, it's like throwing a feather. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's so effing light. It's insane. And you have to experiment with the weight and everything. But what is so cool about that, and I follow weird Japanese guys on Instagram where they put skirts on baits and stuff. When you throw things with a shit ton of like a spinner bait material, it plumes in the water and it almost like, I don't even know how to describe when it falls, but any movement you put on it, it just undulates. It's a really neat concept that they came up with because it looks retarded in the package, but it's like when you throw it in the water, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense why they would eat that, especially if they're like pressured. It makes sense. Let's see here. I've got another question, and then we do have a phone call we'll get to in a minute. Do you all have any tips for fishing drop shots? I've never caught a fish on a... Really? All right. Well, this guy will help you out.
I mean, honestly, you can go anywhere and catch them. Really. Tip-wise, just throw it around structure. Just throw it through structure, riprap bank. You can throw it around a dock. You can throw it at grass. You can throw it at anything, dude. You just got to throw it. And just keep it in your hand for a little while. You'll get bit.
Yeah, and I would also suggest, well, Everett, are you fishing for largemouth or smallmouth? That's a kicker. If it's smallmouth, a flatworm, gulp, things like that would be a little bit more effective. If you're worried about the bite, my high school coach told me like to put little crappie crap on and just go out there so you can feel what the bite feels like if that's your issue. But yeah, like what specifically are you fishing for? And okay, we got this phone call here. Let's try this again. Take 2 with the phone call. All righty. Caller, you are on the show. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. How's it going?
Awesome stuff. Yep, it's going great. What's your question?
Hey, man, so my dad has fished with Timmy and Tyler before. I'm a good friend of Tyler's as well. I've gone out and fished with them a few times. And I was just wondering, question for Timmy, what do you think on the mag drafts on Anna or the bigger swim bait bites?
I really don't mess with that the whole time. I don't got any confidence in it. If you go to the chick,
okay, I was wondering because neither do I. So
I'll throw them at the chick all day, but I don't have any confidence with them on Anna. I just leave them in the box, unless it's spring. I'll bring it out.
I mean, I know plenty of guys who have fished them, who said that they worked, but I've never gotten them to work. In many different situations, I've never gotten them to work.
Is it a bait thing? Because we just talked about like there's like nickel sized bait. Because you go to Smith, if you don't have a mag draft caught like tied on, you're not going to get bit. It's insane.
I don't.
Oh yeah, hair? I mean, I totally think that it could definitely be a bait thing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because like when you talk about the chick, like when you have the herring run or the shad run in the spring, there's a reason that stuff works there. Like the size of the bait, it works at the Potomac too for all the people. Yeah, I just blew that up, so screw you. But yeah, there's a shad run in any tidal body of water, so you're gonna have that big bait. But is there just not a gizzard shad population at Lake Anna compared to these other places?
There is, and then there obviously the herring, and they're pretty long. I snagged one this year, and it was probably 5.5 inches long. So there's no reason they shouldn't eat it. I mean, they eat the giant topwater that's even bigger than that. So they just don't eat the mag draft as good for me personally. I know people that whack them on it, but I don't.
Well, I mean, this is my thought on that, and this could be a theory. If you're mimicking a blueback that's 8 inches long versus a gizzard shad that's 8 inches long, a gizzard shad definitely has a different kind of approach in the water. It's a little bit more methodic. It's a little bit slower. I fished so many blueback lakes as a kid and in college. You're cranking that motherfucker like you are just going to town. It's such a different look going through the water than a gizzard shad.
Yeah. Or like what Tyler was doing, the NASCAR fluke. Yeah.
NASCAR fluke. I like that.
When we were doing that, he was like, "You're fast. Like as fast as you can physically reel it, they will eat it." And it's insane.
Yep. That works. I mean, you saw that the last time the Forcewood Cup was at Lake Murray. That was the same thing they were doing. It was just putting a hook through there and just burning it across the surface. It can really kill it. Boss, you have another question here? You still there?
No, man, I'm all good. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
No, you're good. Yes, shoot me an email or message me on Instagram or wherever, and I'll get you your gift card.
Hey guys, thank you so much. Great show, love it.
Thanks. All righty, and guys, hey, that works. That's gonna be a freaking game changer going forward. Yeah, that's interesting about the mag draft. It's also like what you said. Like some things you enjoy fishing more. I am definitely more of a spinning rod dinky. I would rather tie on a spy bait and do that thing than the glide bait bite.
I'm more of a spinning rod guy. I mean, I'll smack them on it all day long, but I'd rather throw a spinning rod.
What is, and then I'm gonna ask you this question first before we finish up here with the comment section. What would you consider like the biggest hole in your game?
Understanding the electronics as good as some people.
You're pretty good at it.
There's people that are a lot better.
Nick Jesus doesn't count.
No, there's people that are I just want to get to that level and just understand everything the way they. I mean, I've got it down good, but there's some things that I just don't understand, or little clues on the screen that would show you to pick something else up.
I wish I understood sizing a little bit better.
Yeah.
And granted, I get autistic with adjusting the range because I have a small screen. This is like because I have a 10-inch screen, I will adjust it from 100 feet to down to like 80, depending if I got my target locked in. And I know I'm screwing up the size of what I'm looking at. And it didn't bite me in this last tournament, but it's bitten me before, where I was focusing on fish that were actually smaller than they actually were because I didn't keep things locked in.
With my 10, usually anywhere from 100 to 120, the bigger bass are usually more, from what I've noticed. The smaller ones are more up and down, but the bigger ones are they're pennies.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to know what the difference between a carp is, too. There's a lot of carp on it, but you can tell those pretty easy.
And it's kind of important to, and this sounds really stupid for everyone in the comment section, but like getting him to bite. I figured out a Hellgrammite deal with where I was at, and all these things I thought were catfish before, they were smallmouth. They were big 3 to 4 pound smallmouth, but they were so smart. For a year and a half, I could not get them to eat anything. The visibility is 18 feet where we're fishing, gin clear. They wouldn't hit shit. I threw out this like very light Hellgrammite, and all of a sudden they were coming off the bottom committing, and I was like, holy crap, these have been probably smallmouth I've been seeing, but they're just educated to the 10th. And you need that kind of like that feedback loop in your brain of like, okay, I pitched to this blob and it's a fish, so I think this blob here is probably a bass. But you can
tell how they move around, and then it's just time on the water using it. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh crap! I have like 1,000 questions here that I didn't. Let's see. Do y'all have any tips? We did that one. What shape, weight, cylinder, ball, or teardrop for your drop shot?
Honestly, whatever I got.
There you go. I will say this as I butcher any potential sponsors I'll get for tungsten companies. Please do not get tungsten drop shot weights. That is retarded. It's a waste of money. You're going to break them off. My favorite one is the one I get from Walmart for 89 cents, the catfish weight, because I just don't care if I lose it. I really don't.
I will say
Personal opinion.
Bottom really good.
Okay, but like how many, at least where I'm at, I have 2 or 3 drop shot rods because you're going to snag a rock or a ledge or something.
If I'm casting at fish that I'm at and there's not much structure around, I'll use a tungsten. But if I'm throwing it up into some nasty, like jagged stuff, I'll put on a lead weight.
Okay.
Like you said, there's no off every time because you hang up a drop shot a lot.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that if you're competing for $1,000, you can lose that amount if you're just on a drop shot bite throwing tungsten.
Oh yeah.
Shoot, let's see. Everett said, I'm mostly a smallmouth fisherman throwing a drop shot weight. Okay. Yeah, a 7-inch Yamamoto is probably not going to be the ticket then. I would say a flatworm, Berkeley Gulp, any of that stuff would work good.
6 cents party minnow is a good one. You can even put a Kitech on a drop shot. Any little minnow style bait, like you said, a flat nose. Missile bait's bomb shot's a good one for smallmouth too. Mm-hmm. Not many people.
And if you're fishing where I think you're fishing, it's about weight size. You're going to want to go again super light. There's a banana size weight that you can get if you're throwing it upriver. For this past tournament, I was throwing a 1/2 ounce because I was fishing 18 to 20 feet of water and they were moving. And so I wanted that thing to get down insanely quick when I found them because they would leave. But that was a very I was super dialed. Usually you want super light because if I was pitching it, if you're dragging that thing at a 1/2 ounce, you will 100% get it snagged in really, really rocky water situation.
With the weight size, sometimes if they don't want it going slow, you can put on a bigger one and get it to go faster, fall right in front of them, and they'll just eat it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's something to explain because back to the thing that I saw in the tournament, I never caught my bigger fish on a drop shot. And I realized this because when that weight would hit the surface of the water in 18 feet, they moved. They hated that noise at 18 feet.
Well, they go to the spot.
It's stupid though. Yeah. How'd you learn that?
Just watching them.
There was no aha moment?
I've seen them do it in 20 foot of water. Your bait will hit the bottom. They're already coming up to it. Trying to look at what it is.
Because I had the issue where they did the opposite. When they heard that splash, they would bolt.
Some of them will do that. Some of them just come in. Like you'll be watching your drop shot and you see 2 blobs going down and then the blob just kind of stops and you know he's got it in his mouth on the fall.
That's crazy. Because like maybe it's a Lake Anna thing. I don't know. It's of course a Lake by Lake thing, but like last year, I remember with SB, I threw my spy bait out, and as soon as it hit the water, if there was a fish around there, it was like coming off the bottom, like it was looking at what it was.
Oh yeah.
But the place I was fishing is the exact opposite. If I threw something out weightless in 20 feet and let it gently come down, they would peel off and actually look at it. And it's just a weird little tweak there. That, and again, guys, this is something where like this is the nice thing about LiveScope. If you listen to the information you're receiving, you can make adjustments.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. We do have one more caller, it looks like. All righty. Let's hopefully this gets through here. We got another caller on the line, 571-2888. Sir, you're on the line.
Hey, Thomas, how's it going? Hey, I just got a quick question. I want to know if Timmy found the banana peel I left in his boat.
You would like to comment?
We had like a 2-hour fog delay, and we were sitting there. He pulls out a banana, and I thought we were going to zero.
How would you let
we
that?
didn't zero, but wasn't. Hey, the bad luck didn't stay. The bad luck didn't stay.
Did not stay. When the banana peel got out,
Pulled off the wind, big dog. Yeah, once the banana left. No, I didn't leave it.
It's good to see that you're still fishing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fishing when I can. Yeah, no, just I've been working way too much, but I'm gonna be out there like every weekend now, and then I'll have some time off around Thanksgiving, so I'll be out there finally again. Got out there this weekend; it was fun.
Yeah,
they got a Thanksgiving Day. I'm pretty sure the Saturday after.
I
think. Yeah, I
they got a tournament there the Saturday after.
Yep.
Where?
Fish it.
Yeah, go fish it.
It's on Anna.
All right, guys. I don't want to take up most of your time. I'm glad you're talking to Timmy. He's got the knowledge out there, man. He is a hammer. People are signing up to give him money lately. Keep doing your thing, Timmy.
Yeah. And you beat this McCluskey guy. I heard he doesn't suck, so that's pretty cool too.
Well, I donated to him the day before that. So.
Everyone donates to that freak.
He won that one, and I think I got like third or fourth. I paid top two. I said, screw this place.
Dude, come on. Everyone loses them. But Tyler, anyway, I know you're still on the phone. Hey, but thanks for calling in, and I'll talk to you later. We'll get you on the show here soon.
Yes, sir. Take care, Thomas.
See ya. Yeah, it's I mean, everyone does. The fishing gypsy rolls into town, and yeah, you're gonna have to pay his tax. Let's see, let's go with this one here. This is more topical. Anna says, not the banana. I learned early, never bring a banana. Tim will smack it out of your hand. Good God, that's aggressive. Okay. Let's see. We got a couple more questions here, guys, and then we'll end for the night. We got, do you throw a micro jig?
Yes, on a spinning rod.
Oof. Medium heavy or medium action rod?
Heavy fast.
Oh shit! What brand are you throwing?
Dobbins Champion XP.
Are you going 15-pound braid with that to your leader?
I usually just throw 10-pound braid and 12-pound fluoro.
Damn. All right. Wow. I like that. Let's see.
Got two in the lakes. Dobbins Champion XP and a Shimano Stratic. It came from me.
And then we got another one here on Instagram again, guys. Again, I can't share it because Instagram just sucks. But it says, Chase Murphy 06. In the wintertime, does the top and bottom of Lake Anna fish the same, or are they different?
100%. Not anywhere close. That's too deep. You're dead. Yeah. No, nothing alike.
For people that haven't fished there before, like kind of like elaborate on that.
So the upper part, the river section of the lake up near the restaurants, that is dirtier water, shallower water. Those fish usually relate to rock pretty good and brush piles. You can catch them cranking up there, jigging, drag drop shot, shaky head. And then down lake near the dam of Lake Anna, it's crystal clear, deep. You're just fishing offshore contour lines and humps and stuff like that.
That makes sense. Because, yeah, his next question was, and then I think Chase, we actually answered this. Does that have to do with the water quality? And like, no, it's just a completely different terrain. Plus, I would assume when I was there for my kayak tournament, there's more water willow up lake than there is down.
There is. It's all over the banks up there, especially up north.
Does that pull? I mean, asking a stupid question for the audience here. Does that make them really relate to more of a bluegill bite?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome stuff. I think we got all the questions there answered. Let me double check to make sure we lost any drop shot. Like Anna tied. Yep, we did the dice question and we did the banana. Perfect. I mean, Tim, you had an absolute phenomenal tournament. Was this your first major win?
This was the biggest one on Anna that I've won so far.
And you got to do it with a family member. That's freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, that made it 10 times better.
Yeah, dude, yeah. Playing it with your family on your home lake and beating a McCluskey, that's a perfect end of the day. Tim, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. Is there anything that we can promote for you or anything we can give a shout out to?
Just my Instagram page is Timmy Sheridan Fishing, and then my Facebook page is just Timmy Sheridan.
Awesome stuff. And then, guys, I also link in the episode description. I have to Tyler this high pole guide service. I think you guide, correct?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Well, there is a link in the episode description to the high pole guide service where you can go out with this gentleman, Tyler High Pole, and this guy called BS Fishing, SB Fishing, I think is his name. I forget. But link to all that stuff. And like, subscribe to the channel, guys. And we'll see you next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your hosts, Thomas Ahrens and Jared Mounts. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester.